This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast.
All right, Fact Check This Daily. And today we're going to talk about some parenting advice. And this is something that I've been saying for a long time when I came across the article and got to looking at it. And it's very short, so this won't take too terribly long. I was like, golly, like, more parents need to hear that this is, like, it's okay to do this. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Parents who make this simple mistake raise mentally weak children, says a psychiatrist. You are increasing your self-esteem by stealing theirs. Excuse me. Sometimes you need to let kids figure out how to solve problems or suffer the consequences of their decisions all on their own. That's according to psychiatrist and best-selling author Daniel Amen. Parents too often make the mistake of overdoing for their kids, resulting in mentally weak children, Amen told the Built Different podcast in an episode that aired on Tuesday. Such behaviors, like doing your kids' class projects yourself to help them get better grades, or giving them what they want solely to halt an oncoming tantrum, limit children's mental resilience and sense of independence, said Amen. And highly resilient kids are more likely to become happy, successful adults, research shows. Surprise, surprise, right? Letting your kids fail and figure stuff out for themselves is actually beneficial to them, and doing their homework for them and giving them the answers doesn't so much help anything. Crazy, right? When my daughter would forget her homework at home, nobody's bringing it to school. If she didn't bring a jacket on a cold day, even though her mother told her to, nobody's bringing her a jacket, Amen said. It's so important that when a child says, I'm bored, rather than you fixing it, just say, I wonder what you're going to do about it. These are things that I have been told make me a harsh and abrasive parent. Like, I try to tell my kids all the time, like, think ahead, plan ahead. What do you need? What's, like, if you didn't bring your stuff, I'm sorry, do better next time. If you don't let your kids fail, how will they ever learn? If you just hold their hand and every time they forget something or they don't do something that they're supposed to, you just go take care of it for them, then the only thing that they've learned is that they don't actually have to do any of this stuff. Especially if you start this type of behavior when they're little, then it's just ingrained into them. If you do too much for your children, you are increasing your self-esteem by stealing theirs, he adds. Humans develop mental toughness by solving problems. Building a kid's mental resilience doesn't require a tough love parenting approach of harsh punishments, Bernard College child psychologist Tova Klein told CNBC Make It last year. Trying to shield children from disappointment won't help them build resilience either, said Klein. Instead, you can allow your kids to experience setbacks, mistakes, and other tough moments, while letting them know you still support and love them. I see it as a more empathetic, connected approach. This might be hard, and I'll be there when you're done, Klein said, adding, it's a message of, I trust you to get through this hard thing, and I'll be here no matter how it goes, whether you win, whether you lose, whether you come in the middle, I'm here for you. Similarly, the more you encourage children to help the people around them, from daily chores at home to their friends and classmates at school, the more they'll gain the empowerment and responsibility they need to confidently tackle their own challenges, the American Psychological Association noted in a 2012 blog. Let them begin to figure out their problems or the solutions to their problems rather than being overly involved with them, said Amen. And this goes to, like, the way school is being done. In school, they're taught to memorize answers as opposed to solve problems. I have told my kids many times, I am not here to be your friend, and I am not here to coddle you. I am here to raise you to be a functional, successful adult. And being a functional, successful adult means you're going to have to learn from your own mistakes. Nobody's going to be here with a safety net to bail you out every time. People tell me that that's harsh, that I am mean for doing that to my children. My ex has told me that. I am not hanging my kids out to dry where that they will do something that will permanently scar them or potentially kill them. But if you forgot your homework, I'm not bringing it to you. You made that mistake. Now you have to own it. You have to live with it, and you have to make up for it. If you went outside in the rain and didn't take a jacket or an umbrella, you're going to get wet. It's going to be uncomfortable. What are you going to do next time so that this isn't a problem again? Think about life as it's coming to you, and think about the direction that it's going to go, and plan accordingly. Thinking about all the potential outcomes of, the decisions you make helps you make better decisions. There are many instances where children don't think about what they're doing ever. Because why would they? Why would you take the time to stop and think, is this a good decision? How does this impact me? How does this impact the people around me? What's going to happen here? If none of that matters to you, if you are never going to be personally responsible for any of that, it's I've seen it in different studies and stuff described as the helicopter parent and then to the lawnmower parent. So the helicopter parent hovers around their kids and watches over them intently to make sure that they're, ready to snatch them out of the situation if something goes awry. The lawnmower parent just goes through and mows down all of the obstacles in their path so that they have nothing standing in their way. And now what we're seeing in the workforce, what we're seeing in the later millennial and some of the early Gen Zs that are coming out of college, coming out of high school, entering the workplace, they've never been challenged. They've never had to do anything for themselves. Anytime something got tough, they just called mommy, and mommy came and took care of it for them. And it's creating a generation. I mean, not creating, has in many ways created a generation that people don't want to hire. They lack work ethic. They lack problem-solving skills. They lack critical thinking skills. And they lack any type of resilience. They cannot be faced with even the most minor inconvenience, or they have a mental breakdown. They've never had to deal with obstacles of any sort. It boggles my mind. And I'm not like going out of my way to create additional obstacles that my kids have to figure out. But when my kids would ask me how to do their homework, what I realized was the women in my life, my children and my stepdaughter's mothers, would give them the answer. I, on the other hand, if they ask me how to do this, because they don't ask how to do this, they ask, what's the answer to this question? Tell me. How do you find that? How do you get to it? I know the answer. I can tell you the answer without even thinking about it. That's not going to help you any. If the answer is, if it's a history question or an English question or something like that, it's in your textbook. It's somewhere in there. Something tells you how to do this. If it's a math problem, you have been going to class. I assume you've been going through the steps of how to solve these problems. So as opposed to me giving you the answer, I'll sit here with you while you write out the solution. And if you make a mistake, I can correct you, but you have to come up with the answer. I'm not the back of the book. Do they even still put the answers to stuff in the back of the books anymore? I don't know. I'm not the back of the book. I'm not here to just give you everything you want because you want it. I'm here to provide for the basic needs to keep you alive, and otherwise, you kind of got to figure it out. Am I a tough, harsh parent? Maybe. I asked my kids one time if I'm a bad dad, and they said, "No. Why would you say that?" I was like, "I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rough on y'all sometimes," and effectively what they said is, "Well, yeah, you're kind of mentally and emotionally abusive from time to time, but it's for our own good. We understand that." I'm like, as long as you understand that, cool. Like, we're all on the same page. It's like my son got upset at me with the way I was teaching him how to drive, because I told him what to do and then made fun of him whenever he did it wrong. We were learning how to drive a 5-speed in a 02 Mustang. And so he was like, "You're a terrible teacher." I said, "You know what? How my teacher taught me to drive stick? It was my granddad, and I was 9 years old. And I was sitting in his truck, and he comes over and he sticks his head in the window, and he said, 'Hey, we're moving all the equipment to that field down the road. I need you to bring the truck.' And I said, 'I don't know how to drive.' And he said, 'You'll figure it out.' And then he got in the grain truck and left my ass sitting there in the middle of a field. And I had to figure it out." There's a lot to be said for, as a kid, being able to figure stuff out. And if you're a young, new parent and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want my kid to ever have, experience any hardships or ever have to, fail or whatever," you're fucking up. Straight up, you're fucking up. Like, it is not your job to clear every obstacle in life for your kids so that they can just cruise through. That produces soft, weak, pathetic kids who will not make for good adults. Your job as a parent is to produce strong, mentally and physically strong, well-adjusted adults who know how to handle shit for themselves when life throws them curves. Because if you're, older than 8, you've probably had life throw you a bunch of curves. Shit, just this past month has been nothing but curves. And we swing and we miss on some of them, and we knock some of them out of the park. And you live and learn and you figure it out and you struggle through it. And the number of kids that you see on TikTok and Instagram, crying because life is so hard. It's like, you're 20 and have no kids and minimal responsibilities, and life hasn't even started to get remotely hard. How have you been raised so soft and fucking pathetic that entering the workforce is now some crippling emotional and mental thing for you? Let your kids fuck up and fail. Watch from a distance and make sure they don't kill themselves in the process. But otherwise, I think we learn as much, if not more, from our failures as we do our successes. If you have nothing but success in life, you just think it's easy. And then when you do encounter failure, now it's hard to figure out what to do and how to get through that. Failure is a good thing, depending on how you handle it. And that's your job as a parent, not to make sure that they don't fail, but to make sure that they understand how to deal with failure and how to come out on the other side stronger and better for it. So, you don't have to trip them, but you don't have to catch them when they fall either. Just be there to pick them up afterwards and tell them, what did we learn from this? That's my parenting advice for the day. That'll do it for me today. The daily or the weekly episode will be dropping on the podcatchers here in about 20 seconds. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of the others, if you want to listen, that'll be coming up here shortly. And then it'll be up on YouTube and Rumble in an hour. Be premiering on both of them. So if you would rather watch the video, you can check those out. I think you're going to enjoy it. I had a lot of fun with it sounds like I get mad at several points, but I was enjoying myself the whole time. That's playing up the anger for the bit, not so much actually being angry. I love reading these leftist rags and the dumb bullshit that they say, because it's just like they never had to experience failure as kids, and now it's just smacking them in the fucking face, and it's beautiful to watch them break down. So go check out that once it drops, and I will be back tomorrow with another daily, and also we'll do peddling fiction tomorrow sometime too, once I get with Johnny and figure out what time we're doing that. So I'll see you then. Have a good one. Later.